Hi, everybody. I'm Alison Kent with the Home Kitchen, online site for home cooking and entertaining, an exclusive shop for kitchenwares, and a kitchen design service hub. I'm welcoming in today, there she is, Jane Bertch, all the way from Paris, which is why we're so early today. And she is with Cuisine Paris Cooking School. And here she is. Are you there?
Hello,
There you
bonjour.
are. Bonjour. Oh, bonsoir. It's evening in Paris, right?
Yes, after 5 p.m., you can officially say bonsoir.
Well, then we have it both ways. We're all good. I
Super.
was just mentioning that you own the La Cuisine Paris Cooking School way over
Absolutely.
yonder. And how long has that been out? Give us a brief, La Cuisine Paris kind of intro.
Okay, so we are a cooking school here in Paris, and our focus is French cuisine, but in English, because we have a lot of people from the visiting world that are very enthusiastic about French cuisine and they want to learn it in a language that they're familiar with. So
Yes,
that's us.
thankfully.
We're 12 years old. Which I have to remind myself because I feel like we've lost a year, but we are now 12 years old. I think a lot of us
Yeah.
feel that way. I imagine it's just not me.
It was just a lost year altogether, yeah.
So that means we haven't aged, right?
Perfect, because I was supposed to turn 50 this year, so now I don't have to. We'll delete that whole year and I won't bother.
I totally agree. And I was meant to turn 21, so I'm still waiting.
Well, I love that I visited 3 or 4 years ago, and I know you have a lot of sweets classes, but I was taking a class because you're one of the only ones that actually had some savory classes. And I'm a very savory person. So I came for the French sauces.
Super. Yeah, we
Is
try
that a
to,
popular class or?
it is, but we try to have something for everyone because everybody's got different tastes.
Mhm.
Yes, sauces are super popular because when you think of French classic cuisine, you do think of sauces. I mean, sauces are what we tend to do best here, but we do have an array of sweet classes. Again, we try to kind of pick the things that people are going to enjoy.
I need to take the macarons next time because for the life of me, I still cannot do it. I've probably taken 2 classes at least. I've tried them with, I have a new stove now, but like with the old stove, it just wasn't flying. It wasn't working out. So that's going to be one of my next classes to take as
Cool.
well.
Don't get discouraged with macarons. One of the reasons they're so expensive is even though there might be industrial mixing,
Mhm.
usually there is a lot of handling by hand because they are finicky. They are personalities, right? So if they're not having a good day, it doesn't mean it's your problem. It could mean they've just decided for whatever reason, and every top chef has problems with macaroons. They crack. Oh, yay, somebody else has been to our macaroon class.
Yeah,
Fabulous.
I see that. A
Yay.
few people are like, "Oh, this is the best school. I like
Oh,
cuisine
well, we're lucky. We get
and the
such
macaron
fabulous
class."
people. We get such fabulous people that join us. So we're super lucky.
And I think macaron, and I think you also do croissant, right? I think
We
they're
do
very
croissant.
classic kind of French things. Like I'm visiting Paris. This is really what I want to kind of take in and learn and take with me. And we were talking earlier that I just find I've been taking a cooking class as I've traveled for almost the last 10 years. So I've taken classes in like Barcelona, Greece, Mexico, wherever, and it's just such a fantastic like souvenir. It's like a
Yes,
living, breathing souvenir. And then every time you come home and you make that dish or you make that sauce or whatever, you're remembering that trip and you're reliving the experience and the food. And it's just such a lovely thing to do when you're traveling or on vacation.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
When you said the word souvenir, which I love because the word souvenir in French means memory. So when you
Oh,
say I have a souvenir of something, it is I have a
yeah.
memory. And so
Yeah.
I think it's quite rightly so
Perfect.
beautifully said, when you get into the culture through the food, you have memories that go on forever. So I think that's
Oh,
super, yeah. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And I can't wait to take more when we travel again.
Yes, we will be
Oh my
traveling again.
goodness.
I'm waiting for everyone patiently. My patience is running out, folks.
And you are getting back to in-person classes soon, or you are, how's the
Yes.
school been? Because I know you guys were doing some online the last like little bit of COVID, but
Right. We really, the royal we, I really pushed back, not wanting to do things live because so much of what we do is about sharing culture and it's being together in the kitchen. And that's such a magical space. And I was
yeah.
worried that it wouldn't translate well remotely, but we did them. We did a number of them. Right now, we're kind of waiting to see how things develop. Here in France, we are coming out. We have terraces open. We are slowly starting to do things. We have stores open. Things that are inside are still on hold, but they will open on June 9th. So our official first classes will be June 12th here in person. So excited. If anybody looks at our calendar, they'll
Somebody signed
know.
up for your class on July 1st.
Yay! I'm ready for you. Yeah,
With your teenage son, which is what I'm doing too. I'm bringing my teenage son to do classes. That's
I
such a
was,
nice way to spend time with your kids too. Like every time
yeah.
we've done one, it's been our whole family.
Who
And it's
doesn't love
such a
to
nice
pile
way
up in
for
the
us all
kitchen
to do something
together?
together.
Yeah, absolutely. Yay!
I
Whoever's coming on
love
June 1st, I'm ready for you. Well, you won't have me in the class. You'll have a trained
it.
instructor, but I'll probably be the background nosy, making sure everything's going okay because it's been a while. It's
Yeah,
been a
making
while.
sure the rhythm's kind of back in and going.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
can't wait. It's going to be so nice. And what I realized too, because I was in the class back, oh gosh, what, 3 years ago or something, 3 or 4 years ago. But I learned because you guys were there and the chef was there in person that North Americans stir way too much. And that's the kind of thing you're going to miss. If I'm home and you're in France and we're kind of doing it remotely, you're not seeing that I'm stirring too much. But that was something the chef just kept saying. It's like, North Americans, you should just let it sit and you should, like, you start to use your other senses kind of to cook. Like you're
Yes,
using your ears a bit more, you're using your nose a bit more because you're prepping something else, or you're searing the steak while you're making your red wine reduction sauce, and
absolutely.
stop stirring it every 3 seconds.
But you know what? I think that's a global problem. We all like to just, cause you're
Cover and
just, you,
stir.
we have a problem with patience, don't we? So you're just
Yeah.
wanting to deal with it. And I had the funniest thing happen a while back when, most of our chefs are French and they do have an accent, even though they speak English perfectly. And one of them was saying, don't stare the onions. I think they were cooking onions, and everybody was standing around. And there was that moment where they're all like, "Okay, I won't look at the onions. She said don't stare at the onions." And so everybody's looking away, and she's like, "Why? I've lost the class. What's happened?" But you have to accommodate
Don't
for accents.
stir.
Don't stir, right?
That's so funny. The other thing I do when I travel that we've talked about is that I bring like a mini carry-on inside of my luggage just so I can bring back home all kinds of kitchenwares and foods and like wherever I'm traveling to, but mostly for sure I do this when I'm in France and in Paris, because for a while I was going every year, and I would always make sure I had that wheelie that I could bring back with all the rest of my stuff, and make sure that I could bring back all my extra treats I found at the markets and the extra little food things that, it's just not the same here. Or if it is, it costs $20 here and it costs
Right.
€3 over there, right?
Right. I love to do the same when I'm traveling, and I think the best activity is to go through a grocery store. I know we love some of these high-end, really fancy products, but the reality is most French people shop at a grocery store or the market.
Yeah.
And you can get some really great finds that aren't going to cost you a fortune. And, they're dry products that you can take back home. They make fabulous souvenirs.
Yep. And every time I use them, like this is one of the things from your what to find in a French pantry, which we're going to go through next, but like the
Yes.
finishing salts and stuff. Every time I pinch out of this little cup, I'm remembering that I was there, or I'm remembering that I was in France, or I'm like, and so it's constantly pulling you back into that whole It's such a special
Absolutely.
way to remember a place. Food is such a
Absolutely.
memory trigger, right?
It is. It is. It's a
So
great
talk
way
to us
to.
about what you would find in a French kitchen.
Great. I've got
Because I
some
know
goodies.
also French kitchens are traditionally quite small, right? Not like a North
Very
American
small.
kitchen that is
Very
massive.
small.
So whatever you pick to have in your French kitchen is chosen very carefully.
Yes, it is. And again, keep in mind that we are a country where we love artisans, we respect them, and we respect their work. So it's not unheard of that if you want something fine and you're not a trained person to do so, you'll buy it. And that's totally okay, you know. But what are the things that you'll find in a French home? So we talked about salt. So this here, and there's
Yours is
lots
cuter
of
than mine,
different
though.
salt. Well, mine, you know, it doesn't have to be this fancy. Actually, what
Adorable.
you have there is what I would get at a grocery store. And they're all, you know, like very similar in quality, but you know, this one, it comes from a small producer. Yours is probably a bigger producer, but the reality is it's still a very refined product. And we've got lots of different salts here in France, as I
Right.
imagine you do
Yeah.
everywhere. We've got big, what we call gray salt that you'll tend to use for cooking, boiling water. Maybe if you're doing a salt cover on a fish, you know, we've got those. We've got just your normal table salt. And then we have,
The first one. This is a finishing salt, right?
this is the finishing salt. This is like the Louis Vuitton of salts. You don't want to cook with it. You'll lose what's beautiful about it. And what's beautiful about it is it's a beautiful, flaky texture. And it's wonderful to finish. So you just toss it on the top of stuff. So that is definite. And this, so Fleur de Sel de Guérande is actually, if you see this little symbol, we have this a
Yeah.
lot in France. And that's like a
Okay.
birth certificate. It's like
For
a birth
salt.
certificate for food.
Oh,
And you find it in any product too. This gives you, again, all the products are great. This one just tells you it's been handled and treated and produced in a very specific manner. And so it's kind of
yeah, I
like a little
can't read
birth
that.
certificate.
I'm trying to
So
read
it's a
where this
little,
one might be from, but it just product of France, south of France.
yes. And you know, again, they're both the same. It's like two children. You love them the same, but maybe you have different activities with them. This one is a fine finishing. So there's that. The other thing I love to talk about, and we're going to see he's got a little birth certificate on here. You see, this one just happens to be yellow.
Right.
This is one of the only spices produced in France. This is called Piedmont Despalette. Again, another finishing. If you pay attention in French restaurants, likelihood you'll see these orange reddish flakes on your dish. It is produced in the Basque region. And again, it's a great finishing. It's not spicy. It's not hot. The French palate cannot really tolerate those things. It's a very warm piment. So that's very fun. And again, you can get this at a grocery store. This one is a small producer, as is the other
Yeah.
one, just because we carry them at the school for gifts. But go to your grocery store. Grab yourself
Yeah.
a couple of cans of this, and it's a fabulous gift. I've seen the prices in North America. It's super expensive, so get it in France.
Well, even like a finishing salt, like this probably, if I bought it at the Monoprix, probably or similar, would cost like €3 maybe.
Yeah, 3-4 euros, absolutely.
Here it would cost probably $18 Canadian. I
Wow.
don't even know what that
Wow.
is in American dollars, but yeah, I hoard food when I'm there, and I go to usually the Grande Epicerie and I hoard my truffle things.
Absolutely.
This
That's
is fun.
fabulous.
And usually truffle salt because they also have the truffle salt in little jars because it loses its flavor quickly.
Yeah.
So I don't like to get the big jars of the truffle salt. I like to get the little ones, and then I just make sure. And our favorite thing to do with it, and I ration us on it because it's like in my mind, it's always like how much longer till I'm back in France to buy more. But popcorn is our
Oh
favorite
my
thing
God,
to do
yeah.
with truffle salt. It's so delicious.
Good
We're
call.
addicted to it.
Good call. We don't get popcorn here like I grew up on it. As you know, I'm from Chicago originally. Popcorn here tends to be sweet.
Oh,
You've
so like
never
a
seen
caramel kind of like.
it's not even as lovely as that. I don't want it down. I love France, but we have work to do on the popcorn scene. You go to a movie theater, you'll get popcorn that looks like normal popcorn, and then you'll grab a handful ready to enjoy it, and it's sweet. Utter disappointment. There's a
You
business
have
to
to
be
have
done
your
there.
own. You
Oh my
have to
God,
just take your own.
totally. Yeah.
What else do
So
you
what
have
else?
there in your
I
French
have
pantry? Oh, you found it.
mustard. I found it. Amora. Can you see?
Amora.
Are you seeing it correctly,
Yep.
or is it backwards? Okay.
It's backwards, but I can read back. Actually, it looks like it works the same, almost the same front to
Oh,
back.
yeah, almost actually. This is aroma, but really it's Amora. This is, now I know everybody loves Mai, and Mai is a fabulous mustard. Totally wonderful mustard. This is what you would get at a grocery store. It is 100% pure, and it does not cost more than €1. And
Oh,
this is the mustard that you would just have in your refrigerator, on hand at all times, on the side, used for vinaigrette, and it's great. I love to take this for gifts. People usually enjoy it. Of course, Mai
yeah.
is a fabulous brand. This one
This is
is
like
just in
the
my,
everyday.
this is the everyday. This is the
Is this
everyday.
probably when you're eating at a lot of the kind of more bistro restaurants and they give you the cornichon with the mustard? Is that probably what they're using?
Absolutely. I'd be surprised if a normal bistro will invest in my mustard.
Yeah.
They'll probably have this in really big supply. And this is probably the medium size jar. You can get a smaller one, and then you can get like the family size. So if you want to take
Oh,
back a big one, again, you're going to spend less than
yeah.
€3, and you're going to have a great thing to take home.
Oh, I'll be stocking up. I'll be
Yes.
stocking up. And somebody mentioned you get to heat the glass, which if you clean it up, it becomes like a nice candle holder or.
Yes, it does. Or a nice summer drinking glass. You know, you still have the top,
Oh,
put your
yeah.
adult beverage in it, or as I would, and then cap it up and take it on your picnic. So I'm on to equipment now.
Okay.
So here we have, it's just a plain, simple torchon. So anytime you see the word torchon, it is a dish towel. But of course, every French home will have them. You guys have got them as well. They tend to be linen or 100% cotton, and they're plain. Mine just happens to be fromage themed because that's what I had to hand. But you know, you'll have all sorts of them in the house.
And
That's
I
a
think the
staple.
French tend to use theirs also to hold food, whereas we use ours
Absolutely.
more just to clean up. Like you will cure an entire something or other in the linen and in the cloth. And
Yeah, I mean, it is all purpose. You probably will designate those that you're going to handle food with versus those that are just
yes,
going to wipe off the counter. But every chef will either have this hanging on his shoulder or in the
tucked
strap
in the
around
apron.
his apron.
Yeah. I always have one tucked in my apron.
Absolutely. So I managed to find something else because I thought this was fun. Okay,
Oh, these
this is
ones
the
befuddle me. I don't know why.
this is the country of wine. So of course, and we have lots of different wine corks here with lots
Yeah.
of different names.
Okay.
Right? So this one is a wine cork. So you screw it down
Yeah.
and then his arms pop up and you pull his arms down.
Yes.
So this one I particularly love because it also has a little history behind it. It was made long before Charles de Gaulle. But if you want to be really up on French lingo,
Yeah.
French slang, you'll hear people referring to this as the de Gaulle. If I
That's the
say, you know, for opening wine, I say, oh, can you grab the de Gaulle? It's this guy. Because there's a
oh.
picture of Charles de Gaulle. Imagine this is the head,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
are his arms, and he
It
was
looks like a
riding
little guy.
around, and it was affectionately named the de Gaulle. So there's your little French history that every household has these.
I need to get a good, like a really well built one because I tend to break them. Every now and then I buy, I guess, too cheap of a one or whatever. But I still just use the little flip open waiter kind of one that.
And those are super popular. Plus, they tend to have on the back end something to like pop open a can. This you can
Yeah.
do so, but the other one
Yeah. Yeah.
folds down nicely. The other one I think is great for picnics. So
And
talking
I saw your
picnics.
post today on picnics. Yes.
Yes, we're given the rundown of like where to shop, what to buy, and then where to enjoy it. Because even though the French love picnics, we are very serious about grass here, the
Oh,
pelouse. And not
yeah.
every place you can sit on the grass. So you really want
Right.
to know where to picnic to enjoy yourself. So talking about picnic, this is ridiculous. We will usually have, it does look larger than size or whatever
Yeah.
the thing, you know, object and mirror larger than it appears. This is an Opinel, Opinel knife. And this is what you'll, not this size. I just got this size because I thought it'd be fun for you
But
guys.
I like how you suddenly look tiny because the knife looks normal. And you
I know,
suddenly
I'm
look
either holding it super close to the camera. No, but
Yeah.
this is the size of this one. They'll usually be this size. They're pocket size because they fold, right?
Right.
So you open it up at your picnic, and then you go ahead and you cut your sausages or you cut your cheese and you'll stick it and grab it off the top. So every household will probably have an Opinel of some sort. And again, another knife you can get, I don't know that you can get them this big. This is actually an antique, but you can certainly get it at any department store, any kitchen equipment, and they'll range anywhere from like €7 to like super expensive if they're fancy. But you definitely want this to take home. Isn't that foolish? I love it.
That will fit my luggage, I'm pretty sure. My luggage will definitely get checked on that one.
To check the luggage. Can you imagine carrying this on board these days? Jeez. So the other thing I have, which you're already very like kitchen equipped, is this guy. For our folks watching, I'm just curious, do you know what this is? I'm not going to play music with it. Anybody out there? Tell us what you know it is. If you know.
Mentioned it, I think, because I have two sizes, that the mesh does come in different like densities and different ways to use them. It's hard to get much through this one. I don't know if you can see those holes very well, but
yeah, your holes are pretty
not
small.
much goes through that. A sifter, a moule.
It is, well, it's a sifter. This is the French version of a sifter, and we call this a tamis, T-A-M-I. It's not a tambourine. You actually put your product in, and you take, here in France, what we call a corne, C-O-R-N-E. It's a plastic tool that you use to scrape, or you use your hand and push it through to make your product nice and thin. We use these all the time for macaroons, all the time.
For the almond flour?
Absolutely, because you want to get that really thin, fabulous, puffy powder.
Yeah, I'll have to work on my pushing it through skills because this one's really quite thick. I do have another one in the drawer, though, that's a little bit looser.
You can get like...
I think it's called a drum sieve here.
Okay. We tend to have one size, but you can actually find them with multiple screens of different sizes.
And you just switch it out.
And you switch it out as needed. But we, we're kind of faithful to this size.
That's smart.
And the last thing I have for all of you bakers, you'll know this, is the French rolling pin. Voila.
I'm making my mental shopping list for next time on.
Yes. So the French rolling pin, as we know, has no handles. You use a lot of the butt of your hand to push and guide. And the really nice thing about this is this rounded edge makes it perfect to actually use it this way and smooth out corners and not, create any harsh lines. Yeah. So we use this a lot. Not to play baseball. I am a Cubs fan. I'll just mention that.
And this is a part of my French kitchen.
Madeleines, yes.
But I only have the big one. I want to also get one with the tinier version, which is more popular in France. The big or the little snacky.
I'd say probably the size you have, because you know what? Most people will have one or two with coffee as an afternoon treat. Not all the time. I always like to say that because people think that there's French folks still riding around with berets and striped T-shirts. Yes, there may be.
I was going to say, you can see that, yeah.
they don't necessarily eat croissants every day, and they don't have treats all the time. But certainly, Madeleine, you'd have one or two with coffee. So your size is perfect for that.
This is like almost meal sized.
That's very nice. And you know what? When you make it yourself, You have to be very conscious that you're in a calorie deficit after all the work, right? You're
It
working
was
hard.
workout, so you've earned it.
Yeah. I mean, we're just keeping, you just got to think of your health.
I like that
So,
your knife was vintage because I also do shop at the flea markets and like even just like these aluminum pans that were probably tossed from some restaurant or whatever. I mean, I use them all the time.
yeah,
And I
perfect.
have collections of things I bought from the flea markets. And
Yes.
there's a question of what you think of the silicone Madeleine molds.
Ah, okay. You know what? I don't have a strong position on them. I certainly think they work equally well. And the point is to find what works well with your oven. And some ovens are they seem to conduct better with the metal. Some are going to be really great with the silicone, depending on how your heat transfers. So I would, um, enjoy either way. The point is to make a beautiful Madeleine that you love. And you can do that with either things.
As long as you get that puff at the
As
top of
long
it.
as you get that belly, you need that nice little round belly, and that's all you care about.
And I
So
go
those
through
are
a little
my
shop. So
tricks.
we're just saying how this little shop is now gone, and I'm so sad about it. But just finding little French things that in Paris, this is an everyday little thing that everybody would have. Here, it costs a fortune.
Yeah,
Or like little like mustard spoons for my new brand of mustard I'm gonna find, or little serving spoons for charcuteries. And these were all
absolutely.
probably like €1, if that.
Absolutely.
Probably
Little
less.
things like that are also really great for your apéros. And if you guys don't know what apéro is, it is just a term that you'll hear with people referring to kind of a drink and a little savory something right before dinner. So you will hear people say, "Oh, let's have an apéro," or "It's the hour of the apéro," usually around 6 p.m. Prime for me right now. I'm a little late for my apéro, but those are definitely little tools you can use for your serving. And again, it's usually going to be something salty or savory tasting. Light though.
I pull these out all the time. All
Yeah,
the time.
they're
And then
super
every time I
handy.
do, again, it's that souvenir, it's that memory, right? Every time I pull out like a pan from the flea market, or I bought some beautiful linen napkins at the flea market and stuff like that, and it's just I'm remembering over and over again being there and walking through and smelling the smells and saying hi to the people. And somebody's asking what the sifter was called again.
It's called a tamis, Tamis. And this just has a little thing because we would use it to hang. In a professional kitchen, you tend to hang things
Because everybody
sometimes so
has a
they're easy
pegboard,
access.
right?
Well, again, not the average Parisian home and not our school because we want it to look like a home. But if you go to a professional kitchen, chances are you're going to see lots of stuff hanging around.
And do Parisians specifically, do they often cook at home, or are they eating out, not outside of COVID, but like are they typically eating a snack out but then having dinner later at home, or just dinner at home on the weekends, or how do the
So,
French live?
oh God. So, everything depends on habits, and everybody, excuse me, has their own habits. On average, the French person will not snack during the day. They'll eat a proper meal. Again, because we are the country of the artisan, you do find that people tend to dine out a lot. And I use that word carefully because when you go out eating in France, it is the entire experience. And so people here don't tend to eat out, and especially for dinner, they tend to dine. And that means when you get there, the table is yours. You occupy it as long as you want. It's the whole experience that people love.
It's
I'd
the
say
service, it's the linens, it's the
absolutely. And you know what?
everything.
And it's just the environment, even of your little corner bistro where you've been going forever and they know you and you have your little chat about, your vacation or the family or, that's what's quite important to people. And you can find reasonably priced meals at little bistros. So it is accessible. I won't say people eat out every night, but it is probably more accessible and it's enjoyable.
There's one, it's on Babylon, and the name has escaped me right now, but because I go there so often, and every time I'm in Paris, and I make sure I'm there at the beginning of service because I don't want to miss the duck confit. We became known as the Canadians that were visiting every time. They're like, oh, the Canadians are back. And then we go 3 or 4 times every time we're in Paris, or if it was just me or if it was with my boys or whatever. And they're just like, oh, the Canadians, you're back. We haven't seen you
Oh,
for a
that's
year, but they
fabulous.
remember you. And you create, even if you're just a tourist, you're still creating those connections. And the only way I found it was because you would sit, how you sit on the street in the cafes. And if I would hear people speaking French, I would try and ask, like, do you also speak English? You obviously live here. You're obviously French local. Where would you go to eat dinner tonight? And then you get those kind of insider secrets of the local little bistro that the French love to go to. Because when we
Yeah.
go to that little one on Babylon, it's like, it's all French people. They have their own napkins in little cubbies. Like they come back and that customer's napkin. And they just
Yeah,
take such good care of people. And it becomes like part of your, I don't know, extended French family. Before
absolutely.
I lose it, somebody asked if it was legal to
I'm
bring
not seeing
French cheese.
questions.
Oh, that's okay. Legal to bring French cheese and sausage back to the U.S. And I can't answer for U.S., but I know for Canada, as long as it's cured and as long as it's vacuum packed, usually we can bring it back.
I cannot answer that either
I don't know about
properly
the state.
because I know that the rules change. I feel fairly certain to say if it's unpasteurized cheese, you will have a problem. If it's pasteurized, I think you can get through. Please do declare it because you don't want
Yes,
to not declare it and get
always.
caught.
Mhm.
And I do advise people, it's a compromise, but you take a look at what's available at the airport when you're flying. Both Charles de Gaulle and Wassy is Charles de Gaulle, have really great stores, and they're selling products there, and they can tell you what you can buy usually and where you can take it.
Hmm. That's good to know too. And I know it changes all the time. When I come back, I always have to check off the meats and fruits, and I check all the food boxes. But when they pull me over to ask me questions, I just say it's all pantry goods. And they're like, oh, pantry. Well,
Yeah.
they don't want anything fresh, I guess. But
Yeah, I think fresh is always challenging.
yeah.
I may or may not have taken back things that should or should not have been taken to the US. But I would always say, please put it in your luggage and not your hand luggage. And there's a risk it may get
Yeah.
confiscated, but there's that.
Because I found even if it's a solid, if there's any liquid in the jar, it counts as a liquid.
Yeah. And
So even if your
apparently,
solid food has liquid on it, it counts as a liquid and they confiscate it.
absolutely. And apparently, candles are a big suspect for getting taken. It is a
Oh, really?
liquid in a hardened form. And I've had a lot of people tell me they've had
Mm.
bought these fabulously beautiful candles and had them in their carry-on and they've been taken. So again, check luggage. Yeah.
Well, I
I don't
think
know what.
even this counts as bringing back spices and foods, but I always bring back my favorite teas. There's not much left of this one, actually.
Well, you're going to have to come refill,
Time to return. It's time to
hopefully
refill.
soon.
Yeah, that Marco Polo is my favorite. Yeah, every place will have a different rules on what you can bring back. I don't. I so far we've been okay just with I guess preserved goods like pantry
Yeah.
stuff. So
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
mustards would be fine. The salts would be fine. The
Yeah.
truffles.
And they're easy to travel with, and that way you're certain to not have problems. So,
Well, we had a really good, engaging turnout today. That was a lot of fun. And I liked seeing what
yay.
was in the French kitchen because I know things have to be chosen so carefully in typically a smaller kitchen. But should be open to travel very soon. We hope, we hope, we hope. We're crossing all our fingers and toes and everything else.
Yes, I'm
And,
waiting for June 9th. We'll hopefully have some more of a formal message, but here
right.
we're hearing from the French government that the borders are open as of June 9th. Again, that needs to be formalized, and
Yeah.
above all, travel is so personal, and you want to do it feeling safe. So do it when it's best for you, but we'll be ready for you, and we hope you come.
I will be coming this
Yay!
fall, getting all the vaccinations. We're coming, we're coming, we're coming. And absolutely taking a class. And for anybody watching and watching this later, like La Cuisine Paris, for sure, you're going to learn some wonderful skills. You're going to get that, like we said, the souvenir, the memory every time you cook that thing again or taste those spices again or whatever. You're going to have those memories of that city, of that time, of that place. And it's just such a good way to be present in a different like culture when you're traveling, I find.
Absolutely. And I do encourage folks, go to your small stores. Always say bonjour first. Remember, these are small
Bonjour.
businesses. You're going into somebody's extension of their home.
Yeah.
So you say hello when you go into somebody's home. And ask the artisans. French people love to, like, I don't want to say it, but maybe I will. They love to be bossy. They love to advise. So ask them their advice. If you ask a cheesemonger, what cheese should I have? Or, engage them. They'll be so happy to talk about their products. This is what they do for a living. They're passionate. So take advantage of it and enjoy it. Same at the market. Get in there and be a little daring and ask questions, and they'll be so happy to respond to you.
So true. Chef Chez Lulu is commenting. I feel like there's a lot of your people on here, but unfortunately, once I close and save the video, that all disappears. I don't know how to save it, but hopefully everybody watching just come back and click a little like on the video once it's posted so that Jane knows you are here, because she couldn't see any of the comments. So make sure you come back. I don't know why
it's not working for me.
Click a like
just like
and
static.
let Jane know you are here. Paris itinerary, Benson, Saxton, Chez Lulu, France. There's been a whole bunch of them that I feel like they all know you. Plum Lyon.
Well, I definitely know Chez Lulu. She's my lady in fromage. She's like the queen of fromage.
The Toast said hi, Jane, with a smile.
Oh, that's Rick. Hey, Rick.
Carolyn Barrera.
Yay.
Yep, I feel like these are a lot of your Margot Goes. Margot.
I know the names.
Goes. I feel like you know these people, and unfortunately,
but I can't see them. So I don't know what's
wrong
with my thing.
And I know
here.
I don't know how to save them. I'll figure it out one day. But as soon as I click save on the video, it restarts the count of who comments and watches.
Okay.
I don't know how to save it.
Well, better yet, since I can't see you, for some reason mine is static, you just have to come to Paris. You come into the school and say, Jane, I was on the thing and you didn't wave or say hi. I'll be happy to make it up for you.
She'll make it up to you.
Absolutely. Yes.
Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me today.
Alison.
I know it's evening and it's snacky time there, and it's still morning getting towards lunch here, but I love that we could work this out. I'm excited to do something video live-ish with you when I finally make it in September, early October.
When you come, we're totally going to do a French etiquette, like, what happens when you're formally dining and how do things work. And yes, that'll be fun. We'll do that live, like a little French etiquette teach-in.
I love it. Thank you so much for today. It was really good to see you.
Thanks, everyone, for joining.
Thank you, everybody.
Bonjour, au revoir.
Au revoir. Bonsoir.
Bonsoir.